Everyone relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson. Hello and thank you for watching.
Is this the part of the bulk record where we talk about what happened in our lunch break?
Yes, I think this is so.
Worth
Now
bringing up.
this is what we do: is we record all the episodes in one day. Sometimes that means
Have I got salad in my teeth? I feel like I've got something stuck to that
I don't
tooth.
think that you do.
Okay.
No. So but often we'll do 3 episodes of TOFOP and then 1 episode of Two Guys One Cup. But it is both bi-week. But bi-week is it? Finals bi-week.
It's the first round of the AFLW. We should say.
Yeah, no, but in the M, which is
It's
the
the M,
majority of
yes.
what we talk about on our
bi-week,
show.
yeah.
It is the bi-week. But also we did a live episode.
Yeah.
So that's already done. Normally on a Sunday, there's always that pressure of, it kind of ruins our weekend.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you've done for the rest of the weekend, on Sunday night, we're going to have to do the football podcast. It's always a good time, but it just is one of those things that hangs over your head.
Yeah.
There has been a lightness in my step today that I know that that's already done.
Yeah.
That we're just in TOFOP today, which is nice.
There's no formula. We don't have to have opinions on things.
Well, we don't have to keep up, because the other thing is when we're doing these bulk records on a Sunday, there's a whole day of football normally
that's happening.
Then at the end of the day we do a podcast based on a whole day of stuff we have not seen because we've been recording.
And
the
we
other
normally
podcasts.
try and anticipate the outcome. And
Yeah.
I think so far we've been wrong every single
nearly
time.
every time, if not every time.
Even when the teams have been in front, we said, okay, well, likely the team leading is going to win. And by Two Guys One Cup magic, those teams end up losing.
Oh, there was
Kiss of death.
There was one episode where the game was going on as we were watching it. I suggested one of the teams was going to win. It would have been that would have been right. I would have actually got it right. But then before the podcast finished, I changed my tip to the other team and then was wrong. That's
the power of Two Guys One Cup.
So anyway, we're not doing that today. Today's a TOFOP day. Already in the can. Already up there. Everything's good.
I just spit water on my pants.
On your, are they Muji pants?
These are Muji pants. Yeah.
Well,
Muji
then the
told me.
water will just...
It does. Look, it didn't absorb.
It didn't
It
absorb.
just brushed straight off.
like it's a product demonstration in an advertorial. So what happens is that, we have a little lunch break after we've done 2 episodes, particularly because our sugar is spiked in the morning.
Our insulin levels are through the roof.
Because we've been doing, crack the pack. And so it's like, we've got to go and even this out. Got to go out into the world. So... On our trip out today, there was a couple of adventures on a small little one, but one I want to bring to the table is an interaction I had while I was waiting for a coffee because I was approached by someone who was listened to this show, and that's not particularly unusual. In fact, I just finished having another conversation with somebody else who was also referencing something from the world of Everyone Relax. So it's not unusual that somebody, but this person in their presentation was unusual because it is rare, Charlie, that somebody approaches you with a rabbit. Now, particularly it is unusual that if somebody approaches you with a rabbit, that rabbit is contained in a what?
Hat.
A hat. A rabbit in a hat. As if it was there so one could pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah. Did you wish you were a little bit taller? If you were a baller?
I mean, that's what I felt like. I felt like a baller. Yeah. That's right. This is all I needed was a rabbit in a hat. And suddenly I feel like a baller because I was approached by Anthony. Now, on the day of us recording this, hopefully by now, in real time, I know Anthony's full details because he was going to email me and get in contact because Anthony is happy to come on this podcast. I won't skip to the end. But let's just...
Don't burn the steps.
Yeah. So...
Like a magic trick, Will.
I am approached by a man who is clearly a magician.
Yeah, to the point that you showed me, because I wasn't there when this happened, you showed me a photo. And I said, if I didn't know anything else about this guy, I would say he's a magician just by looking at his face.
And I was going to say, he has a magician look. He's magical. But also, he was in full magician garb. So,
oh, right. I didn't know that.
This wasn't just he's out for a casual Sunday, I'm having brunch, I'm a magician, I've just taken my rabbit out for brunch. And we'll order a side salad for the rabbit. No, he'd obviously been maybe locally doing some close-up magic. So he had his whole kit. he had his table, he had his like suitcase, briefcase that was filled with an array of magical things. He had an actual rabbit in a hat. So he, in presentational style, had a little twirl in his mustache, like, had this sort of magician twirl at the end of it. So it was, immediately I was aware that I was being approached by somebody who was familiar with the magical arts.
So the rabbit was actually in the hat?
In the hat. Wow. I've never seen a rabbit.
I thought that was
in
a trope that kind of wasn't true.
I know
what I mean?
To see it up close, it's magical.
Was it a white rabbit?
It was a white rabbit with like some patterning.
Okay.
And adorable is what I would say. An adorable, well-behaved rabbit. I didn't do any rabbit-related material. I didn't want to get involved in the ethics of, how do I feel? Like, I'm sure it looked like a well-loved rabbit is what I'm going to say. But I don't
But not too well-loved.
Yeah, I don't know how magicians work is what I'm saying. But he had heard the podcast where we've been talking about magic, in particular my love of close-up magic. He knew the show that I had gone to and was very happy to engage in not just the history of magic and what the appeal of magic, but we had like a philosophical conversation around why it appeals to me.
This all happened while I was ordering a very mediocre salad bowl.
Yeah, I feel like
you had the better lunch break.
I had genuinely a magical experience because I got, I love close-up magic. I got a private close-up magic show and experience because this is the great thing. We had a chat about the podcast and about magic in general in this show I'd seen, but just different philosophies of magic, like what is appealing. We had a conversation around AI and whether AI has, he was telling me that he has one trick that is so convincing that people think it's AI because the trick's so good, and how AI, we talked about how it might philosophically, like I think part of the charm for me of close-up magic is that I know it's not a trick of AI. Like it is artisanal magic. It feels...
So in terms of how AI can influence, in terms of like when they upload videos, people are like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That was, right.
And, like all that big sort of David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear or whatever. Like these days, we see shit like that all the time. Like, like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are pashing each other or whatever. Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? So that style of it, I think everyone's like, well, yeah, you can make anyone do anything, right? You can make Donald Trump and Elon Musk dance together on the internet. Then I'm not going to be impressed by something like that we know is a trick of cameras and whatever it is at the best of times. Whereas just being there in front of you with a deck of cards or like 3 dice, and being able to do a trick, like in a way that is... like, it's a trick, there's something to it, but it's like, it is happening there in that moment. Oh yeah, it was so delightful. So I'm just waiting for my coffee. Like for me,
great.
This is perfect. Standing in line for coffee. I've already ordered, so it's not even inconvenient. This is literally like the bit that would normally be boring in your life.
You'd be
when
checking
you're waiting
your phone
for the coffee or
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, I'm like getting to know somebody, talk about magic, but also be shown magic tricks. And he said that he would be very happy to come on the podcast because we know that Mike, our producer, Mike the Third, knows a few magic tricks of his own. He was saying that he would be happy to come on, and he said he could even do a trick that would work if people at home listening to the podcast were doing it. Like he could literally do a thing that it was... Anyway, he's going to email me with the details.
Yeah, that'd be great. We could get one of those overhead cameras, or bring a camera in and we'll do one so we can sort of see exactly what's going on. It's a card trick, right?
Well, look, he did it with me. He did a card trick and a dice trick. So one of them was, think of a card. So basically it was think of the card, think of the color of the card, think of the number of the card, and then there was a way of there was a card with a thing marked on the back, and it happened to be the card that I had nominated. How does that work? I know there's got to be a trick to that. Is there 4 different, is there a way? I don't know what it is, but it was so nice to watch him do it. Because you're like, I know that this is something you're doing, whether it's sleight of hand or whether it is psychological in whatever you're
Mentalism,
suggesting,
whatever it's
or
called,
a combination of both, right? Which I imagine most things are some sort of combination of both. It is so lovely to watch it up close and see somebody doing it.
Do you think that the skills, and this I'd love to ask in this question, so maybe it's worth saving it, but do you think the skills of a magician have evolved or increased in the same way that, say, like the things that gymnasts can do, compared to 50 years ago? Because, when you watch, was it Penn and Teller had that reality show where it was like American Idol, but for magicians, right?
Fool Us.
Yeah, also whatever it was called.
It was called Penn and Teller Fool Us, wasn't it? Or something, or Fool
remember.
Penn and Teller, or the whole idea was that these magicians would come on and they would try to fool them.
And the principle being that, like, all magic tricks, there's a baseline for whether it's misdirection or mentalism or whatever it is. And so...
Yeah. And they would be able to sit there and go, we know what
even if they don't know exactly the mechanics.
We think you've done this, and kind of a version of this.
Yeah. So I would be interested to know if, like, you see... sometimes you see those YouTube compilation videos where it's like humans are awesome and it's like some guy does like a 720 on a BMX, which has never been done before because people keep pushing and pushing. I wonder if there is a scope within close-up magic or mentalism, whatever, where these things keep increasing, or if it's just reinventing the wheel in unique and creative ways. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, Anthony and I were having a conversation around how much of it is the trick itself and how much of it is the presentation of the trick, right? Like we would, and the other thing is because he was talking to me about one of the problems that now online, there's a lot of people showing you how tricks are done or revealing the trick. And so therefore, when kids come to things, particularly young people, because they're seeing these things online and you're doing it, they're suddenly like, I know how that works. Or I've seen that trick online. So then it becomes about your capacity as a magician to control the narrative as much as it is about being able to execute the tricks.
Yeah, when we were kids, do you remember in the 90s, there was a series of shows, there was like, it was called A Magician's Secrets Revealed, and it was like The Masked Magician. This is how they...
And it was very much the idea that this person was hated by...
Yeah, like, was a pariah to the...
That they couldn't show their face on television because they would be murdered by magicians.
Yeah, and they did a professional wrestling one, which is
and
like...
if anyone knows how to make someone disappear, Charlie...
I have such a distinct memory of the professional wrestling one because it was like... you see the heel walk out to the ring and everyone's booing and he, he shoves an old woman to the ground and like, so he must definitely be a bad guy. But let's rewind this and see what's going on. It's like, look a bit closer. See how when the old lady hits the ground, she winks at the wrestler. She's a stunt granny. And it always, the term stunt granny.
Stunt granny is a great name for a show. Do you know what I mean? Like if you had the right
instead of the fall guy, stunt granny.
Stunt granny.
I'm gonna see.
It's like Murder She Wrote meets the Fall Guy. It's basically like the adventures of an old, because stunt old ladies are needed in a variety of circumstances, and I can't imagine there's heaps of them.
No,
I imagine.
Well, what they do generally is just take a smaller stunt person, male or female,
and age them up.
Yeah. But I don't know. But if you could actually, because that's been a bit ageist, right? Like in the same way now that we're moving towards a space where it's like, why cast someone to play someone who's differently able to whatever when there's actors out there.
Yeah, those jobs should be going to old people with brittle bones.
Yeah, that's right. Let's throw them around. Wrestling secrets exposed. All right, can I just play you this clip?
Yes, please.
It just made me
do it.
It goes for 3 seconds. I'll just crank the volume on this. She's a stunt granny.
I think Stunt Granny is great.
That's its own series, Stunt Granny.
I feel like it's an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Stunt Granny.
Because
he loves working with like he thinks that old people doing things that old people shouldn't do is
It's
funny.
a shame Betty White's passed away because that is the role that you would cast Betty White, and she would be bang up for Stunt Granny.
What about, who's the lady who did the hip hop thing?
She's way dead.
Is she dead?
I'm sure she will. I'm assuming.
She was pretty old then, wasn't she?
A hip to the hip hop. You don't stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she would be way dead, I imagine. Unless she's not. In which case...
Stunt Granny.
She's not the same lady from Titanic, is she? No.
I don't know. Do all old ladies look
Who's
the same
the most
to us?
prominent granny actor
not Helen Mirren,
No,
Dame
she's-
Judi Dench.
Yeah, Stunt Granny starring Judi Dench.
Dame Judi
Dame
Dench
Judi Dench.
is stunt.
And we
granny.
do know Adam Sandler loves
Yeah.
taking like a quality
Yeah.
actor and getting them to dance to like, Al Pacino doing Dunkachinos.
I've got to say, if we just ran into Adam Sandler walking around in his big basketball shorts on the streets of like New York or LA or something, and we just said, "Hey, Adam, really love to meet you."
In the same way you pitch twins.
Yeah, just
Two words.
Stunt granny.
Yeah.
Are you convinced?
I like this now. It's a good pitch.
Okay. All right. I've got a second level for you. Dame Judi Dench is stunt granny.
Oh, millions of dollars. Oh, I'm going to make millions of dollars.
You know what's weird? I don't listen to the Joe Rogan podcast anymore, but I've noticed in the last month he's had both Adam Sandler and Russell Crowe
Yeah.
on his show, which means like
Do you think
This-
he's
we're
coming?
somewhere
He's coming for our,
linked.
now. He's coming for our
he's
business.
coming for our business. I listened. I
Imagine if we got a Rogan bump, like out weirdly out the other way, like where people are googling Russell Crowe on podcasts or something, and just like TOFOP keeps coming up because like it would be the next other than Rogan. It would probably be the second search, right?
Definitely.
Right?
I don't,
So suddenly people are looking for Rogan and podcast, and they're suddenly saying, "Oh, Russell Crowe's involved in this other. What's this weird story?" And then they come in here and they realize that, like we talk about Adam Sandler and other things that they like, and we take people out of Rogan. We bring them back.
Oh, yes, right.
We're like cult busters.
Deprogram them.
Yeah, right.
Well, what I love about, because I did listen to the Russell Crowe one, and it was like, again, it was like why he did our show, because he's promoting Indoor Garden Party.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love it. He's gone on the biggest podcast in
Yeah.
the world to promote his passion
He knows what he
project.
does.
100%. The Sandler one I started listening to, but it was too comedy, inside comedy. It was just a lot of them referencing clubs and comedians that they knew from New York in the 90s. I'm like, I'm not interested in any of this stuff. And he's also, I think that Adam Sandler, there's certain people that I like what they do, but I don't need to know how the sausage is made. You know what I mean? Like, I don't find him necessarily a very compelling interview subject. There's a couple of times I've tried to watch. He did another one with him and I think it was GQ or one of those magazines did like actors interview actors, and it was Brad Pitt interviewing Adam Sandler. And I thought, oh, this could be interesting because I kind of like both those guys. But then I was like, oh, 5 minutes into this, I'm like, neither of you are particularly interesting.
No, sometimes you don't need to know.
Well, they're good at what they do,
yeah,
and I like
that's
what they
fine.
do.
That's enough.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything else more about you.
No. Although I was kind of hoping, because it was, like a 2-hour chat, that like getting some insight into, because the stuff that we've sort of joked about, like we know this stuff is silly, but there's something undeniably like charming and appealing about Adam Sandler kind of stuff. But I think we're sort of honest about the fact that, whereas the Rogan thing was just like heaping praise on the films that you make, and they're always amazing, they're always great, and they're always funny.
That's not true.
And I don't think that's true.
That's absolutely not true. They're mostly not good.
Yeah.
They make heaps of money.
There's an amazing...
There's a certain charm to them
Yeah.
that, like, they work for what they are.
Ever since I
How
watched...
many of them are good?
The Red Letter Media guys they did a video on, I think it was after Jack and Jill, where they just were basically like, we're done with Adam Sandler because the lack of care he puts into his film, it's an insult to the audience. He's so clearly, like, the lighting looks
could
terrible.
do better. Like,
He's
he could
not
do
trying.
better.
He's not trying.
But
He's-
even with the scripts and stuff, he could do better. He knows heaps of funny people.
yeah.
But there's a sort of lazy formula that works,
And he gets paid really well.
and he doesn't have to do too much work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
I
good...
admire it.
Oh, no. He's like...
He's cracked the code.
He's worked out show business and how to exploit it for his own needs, and good on him. And there's an appetite for what he makes, and he seems, from all reports, to be a largely unproblematic, nice enough guy. So,
Fine.
well done.
Yeah.
Good on you,
Good on
mate.
you.
But I do get the idea too that, like, don't say that what he does is good. Like,
Yeah.
of the movies that are like Adam Sandler movies, so take out, some movies more dramatic or serious,
Yeah.
things where you go, okay, yeah, there's some stuff here that is genuinely. But of the Happy Madison movies, which of them, on a scale of,
Rewatchability or whatever.
yeah, like, I mean, there's no Groundhog Day. You know, there's
no classic.
classic.
No.
What's the closest to a classic?
Of the
The Wedding Singer, Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, I think, is probably the one. Because it sort of sits in that Caddyshack. Like it has it's a sports comedy. Yeah, I think it would be Happy Gilmore or...
I think Happy Gilmore's my favorite.
Because I think in that early era of... And this is great. This is like old school TOFOP.
Yeah.
In that early era of Adam Sandler, it was kind of like he was repeating formulas that had been done. So it's like Billy Madison is Rodney Dangerfield, Back to School. Happy Gilmore is Caddyshack. Big Daddy is like, I don't know, fucking any comedy about fatherhood or whatever. Little Nicky's going into Supernatural. Anger Management, oh, let's get a big star. And then that's when felt like he started going with, oh, if I can take a dramatic actor and bring them into a comedy role. And then after that, it was just the wheels fell off. So I guess of those films, the one that I had the most affection for, that I feel most
Don't
distinct
mess with the Zohan.
There's not Don't Mess with His Hand. I think it's or The Waterboy is terrible.
See, these are like none of these are good.
No, but
Like
Happy Gilmore has good jokes in it.
Yes, but on a scale of classic comedy movie, right? Like if
I
you
would say Happy Gilmore is a comedy classic.
okay,
I mean,
I'll give you
I
Happy
wouldn't say-
Gilmore
I
for the
wouldn't
sake
say-
of being
yeah,
generous.
okay.
I'll give you Happy Gilmore, but Happy Gilmore is the Billy Madison of the other comedy movies it would be in a group of.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you're making a list of the best comedy movies of all time and you put Happy Gilmore on there, I'm fine with that. But it's the idiot cousin of many of the other classic comedy movies.
It is
think.
I think Happy Gilmore is the perfection of the elements that Adam Sandler brings to a comedy.
It all came together.
It all came together, but the persona of like, the rage, flights of rage. With
It's a character that perfectly
absurd,
suits what he does.
absurd side characters, little visual diversions, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think it has the best balance of all those things.
But also just the narrative inbuilt into a sporting contest.
yeah, there's
that
a
we're familiar
clear
with,
structure,
right?
which there's a win, there's
Yes,
an objective,
which
and
a lot
clear
of the
goal.
time his movies don't have that. Like the actual thing that it's based on gave it a structure that is often missing in his other films.
And I think the one thing too that I admire, like what I think happened with sort of when the Apatow film started, which is probably I think the next iteration of that style of frat, humor, is everything got very improv, and it's like, oh, let's just get a bunch of funny actors together. We'll do a first take off the script, and then we'll do 5 or 6 takes where you guys get to riff. And I think that flew out of control to the point where now, like, it's the reason why the Ghostbusters, the female Ghostbusters movie didn't work, I don't think, is because everyone was funny.
Yeah.
Like, there was no kind of archetypes. That, like, the original one, you got Bill Murray being the smarty, quippy one, and then you got Harold Ramis and being nerdy and
Some
Dan
of them are
Aykroyd
doing the
being
work,
earnest,
right? Giving
Yeah.
you something to
There's a
work
straight
off.
man.
Yeah.
Whereas in the
for
new
desserts.
one, for
Yeah.
desserts. So I think that at least Adam Sandler, they never sort of strayed into that. Like, the indulgences came in other areas, but it wasn't in the kind of, hey, Adam, you got 6 takes.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I imagine Adam Sandler's like, let's do 1 take because I
Yeah.
want to go play golf or basketball. Or
Well, that's
something.
what I was going to say. Like, in those other movies, it's like, oh, yeah, no, we did like 7 takes and they were all different and hilarious. And I think in Adam's movies, we're like, yeah, we did improvise a bit. We did 1 take and we thought that'll do.
Yeah. Like, is that? I reckon that's how it's done.
Yeah, right?
Right? Like, they want to start
It's how
late,
you
finish
keep,
early.
and it's how you keep your costs down as well.
Yeah. I mean, he has cracked the
Oh, yeah,
formula.
again, as a grift. And by the way, I think that
And there's
there
lots
is
of
an
grift-
element of every one of his movies almost that is entertaining, right?
Yeah.
And I think he has great talents. I think some of his stand-up is actually genuinely, like, really wonderful.
Well, the
and-
one interesting thing I did take out of the Rogan interview was he said that he never really aspired to be a comedian. It was an actor. He wanted to be an actor. That was first and foremost, and comedy was a way into that. But he sort of said he never thought he was ever good at stand-up. He liked playing music and playing funny songs.
Well,
but-
I mean, that is his strength, but he is good at creating those things.
Mm,
I mean, he's super charming.
yeah,
He's a classic example of sometimes we just root for somebody.
yeah.
And that is that one of those things in Hollywood or in entertainment or whatever that is the most unfair thing of
Yes.
all, which is sometimes we just want someone to do better than we want other people to do better. And it's
that-
for no real reason.
It's that intangible. It's
Yeah.
that star quality. He has it. And it's so unfortunate because there's so many other comedians who are so brilliant, or actors
or more
talented
driven or harder
driven,
worker or have put in
digging deeper
yeah,
into their films or trying to
totally.
say something
about more.
and it's
yeah.
like, hey, Adam Sandler's made a film about a human fart.
Yeah.
it's called Fart.
Yeah, but it's the reframing of it all as being good that is disingenuous and not reflective of its place in society.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for something to be, like, you don't have to say McDonald's is actually good food. McDonald's can be McDonald's and that is fine, but it doesn't, you don't need to then have it all revised. That
Yeah, why are you giving
McDonald's
us
is
nutritional information,
Yeah.
McDonald's?
It's fine.
Like, we
Let's all just agree
accept that it's what
we're
it
just
is,
like
what it
it is
is.
what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it should say.
I'm not-
You
yeah.
should unwrap the burger and it should say under nutritional information, you've already made your bad choice.
it's okay.
Shove it in.
Go
You're
on.
here now.
Yeah, piggy.
You've already
Oink,
bought
oink,
it.
oink.
What are you doing?
You stuff it down,
Like-
you gross pig.
Come on. You didn't come here for a salad.
It's funny. Off that though, the idea of like, he's found this thing that works. I went and saw Deadpool Wolverine. Have you seen that yet?
I have, yes.
And it's funny because I enjoyed it, but it felt very much like that fast food thing where I was like, oh yeah, like, this is all fun and stuff. But at no point was I particularly invested in anything. I mean, I think that's the shortcoming of having a character who's invulnerable, right? Like none of the fight scenes matter because, he's just...
And you're telling a multiverse story. So
Yeah.
there's literally no stakes that cannot be... Like, I mean, that's the premise and they play off it, but there's only so much self-awareness you can have of a flaw that will cover up the flaw. You
Yeah.
know, right? The whole conceit is... And because everything became so quippy... Like, there was a point where this would have been a welcome refresher from the moody, dark universes of superheroes. Whereas now, fucking everyone's Deadpool. Captain America's Deadpool,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at least... Because it was funny. I walked out and it's like, I'm never going to think about that film again. But then I was like, oh, you know what? Like, Ryan Reynolds... and we've talked about this on previous episodes. Him and The Rock, they've clearly blurred the lines between their celebrity image and like he's Deadpool in his public image, whether he's
Yeah, totally.
doing Mint Mobile ads or Wrexham FC or whatever it is. It's all the same, really. It's all
Yeah.
just part of the same kind of mix. And so part of me does admire the fact that he's like, I'm just going to lean into it, right? And I'm just going to give you more of what you want. You like cameos? Here's a bunch of cameos. You like references? You like fourth wall breaking? Here it is. And so at the time I was sitting there wanting something, like I was sitting in the cinema enjoying it, but part of me is going, I kind of want something more nutritious. But at the same time, that's not why you come to see
But also,
Deadpool Wolverine.
and Deadpool Wolverine is good. Like, competent. Like, lots of great jokes, lots of good... And
Hugh Jackman really commits.
so this is the thing that I would say elevates it slightly above being forgettable. And what, in my opinion, they could have leaned into just a little bit more, which is he is so good in this film. Like, one of the best performances I've seen him do in any movie.
No, it's crazy, right? It does.
And everything from, like, he nails dramatic in this in a way that I'm not sure he's nailed it in even his...
What about Logan?
Logan is a creation of a particular archetype and universe.
Right.
And a tone,
Grizzled
right?
veteran. Yeah.
But this, I think that idea of going, become this and be this. The thing I would have previously said about his performances as Wolverine is that whatever the note was he was playing, he played it pretty consistently throughout, right?
Yeah.
So there's very different versions of it in the X-Men films versus Logan. But it is, in all of them, you rarely feel like the character is genuinely progressing in an arc in any way. They are where they are, and then they just keep being that for the rest of it. Whereas in this, his capacity to go from sort of comedy to, like, there's some genuinely dramatic
pathos
moments in this that he just...
But the Do you know? I mean, you do
In the
know.
same way as comedy used to undercut, like cut through the dramatic.
Yeah.
In this, it was also flippant, and then occasionally he would just anchor it with this like dramatic moment.
The skill to pull that off, like not only from Hugh, but from the director and the editor and all that kind of stuff. Because I think the simile you can use is like the last two Thor films, which Taika brought that irreverent, throwaway. There's no real consequences. It's all just fun. They didn't like actively break the fourth wall, but that was the kind of feeling of it. And I think that people got really tired by that. The first one, it felt like a novelty and something new. And then the last one, which I didn't hate, but people felt like, oh, why do we care about any of this?
Yeah.
Because you're just saying none of it's important.
But also
You
that's the
don't
problem
care.
with the multiverse as well, which is you've basically just said to your audience,
None of this
nothing
matters.
because we'll just find another universe where the convenient thing can happen.
But I think the difference is that you sense Taika's lack of interest in the crafting of the Thor stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll just farm out that sequence to a special effects company. And when we get Chris in a scene, hey, Chris, do one from the script and then do whatever you think's funny and then we'll make it up in the end. And so it felt kind of flabby and stuff. Whereas this, I felt like they definitely had that improv quality, but they were very disciplined around the bits that had to be, that couldn't change. Like, I don't think, I'd be surprised if any of those monologues that he had or any of those kind of serious Wolverine scenes were improvised. I reckon that would have been like, this has to anchor it. And thank God you had an actor with that skill set, because amongst all that shit in that costume, which is so ridiculous with those, fake sideburns and all that kind of stuff, he made you genuinely feel something, which is so remarkable considering the context.
And he now is going to have to do this forever.
Well,
He
they
thought he
joke
was
about it
done,
in the film.
but he's absolutely now going to have to do this forever. But I do think there's also an acceptance of that in a way. And now we've found a way for us all to get what we want. We wanted to see him as Wolverine again. And I think he is the one that you genuinely don't want to say goodbye to. Some of the others, you're like, yeah, I'm happy for you to discover what the next evolution of this character or person or whatever it might be, this storyline will be. But I think we're all like, nah, let's have a little bit more time with this Wolverine.
Yeah.
And
watch Hollywood learn the exact wrong lesson from this.
absolutely. But the other thing is, he's doing it with his mate.
Yeah.
We all know he's been through a bit of like some shit, right?
Yeah.
We're all like, this is good for you, right? Like,
Good for Hugh.
good, you know?
Good for you and good for Hugh.
Good for you, good for Hugh. Because it does feel like it's like, yeah, this is like a good safe space for him to be in at the moment.
Did you watch the Hot Ones episode they did together?
No.
Oh, it is amazing. Like, and I know it became a bit of a joke, like, oh, fuck, like they're everywhere. They're doing every single TV show. But I'm willing to watch whatever they do together. They've got such great chemistry. There seems to be a genuine love between them. But the Hot Ones episode is so funny because Hugh Jackman does not cope well with hot food.
Oh.
And there's one moment where, and because it's so funny because like his Wolverine persona is so macho,
Yeah.
but then Hugh is not.
No.
He's a song and dance man,
That's right.
And so there's a bit where, they bring out ice cream because they've changed the formula of all the hot sauce, and so there's the bomb is like even hotter now than it's ever been before. So they have like bowls of ice cream sitting there for when it gets too hot. And Hugh Jackman, he starts like sweating from like one or two wings in, he's not coping, and then they get to da bomb halfway through, and he's like, "Fuck! Oh god! Oh god!" And so he eats the ice cream, and then he just stops and like dead serious looks at Sean and goes, "There's fucking chili in this." And Sean's like, Hugh, there's fucking chili in the ice cream. Is this a setup? And like he's genuinely angry. Like you see it in his face. And Sean is like, I assure you, Hugh, we would not ask you. It's not that kind of show. We don't trick people into eating. But he also sounds so Australian. There's fucking chili in this. You know what I mean? It's just fucking chili in the ice cream. It's so great. He's got like tears like streaming down his face. It's amazing.
Oh my God. That's the best.
It's really good. Yeah. So yeah, let more Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds doing stuff together.
People are going to, people are already turning on Ryan Reynolds though, right?
Are they?
I think so. I don't know.
Is it in the same way that The Rock? So you know that story came out about The Rock being a prima donna and all that kind of stuff.
I don't think I'm not hearing bad stories. I just think there's a general sort of
We've had
aren't
enough.
we
We're sick of you. In the
Yeah.
same way Tom Cruise got tossed aside for a bunch of years. there.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's been Ryan Reynolds has been. I mean, it's been the Ryan Reynolds era, hasn't it? Like, I mean, just the whole Wrexham thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think Blake Lively copped a little
Oh, yeah.
backlash around something she did recently,
Yeah.
and then it became about.
A film about DV in which he's like, hey, gather your girls together and go see this
I
film.
mean, it did seem like a weird pitch.
And by the way, here's like my
Yeah, you
husband's
like-
gin
What's
and my cosmetic company.
What's that? You like lists? Well, we've got a movie for you. It's all about lists. It's called Schindler's List.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the backlash, but I like what he's doing. Like, I think he's so transparent about it and upfront. Like, I don't feel like he's making art. He's brand Ryan Reynolds, and you can choose to tap into that.
I mean, he has a
Or
good
not.
sense of humor about himself.
Yes, definitely does. And also, like, I think the one thing that I found really interesting about, you know, that fandom space, especially in comic books and genre, is so toxic, you know, with like fucking get woke, go broke, whatever. Deadpool is clearly a not straight character. Like, he's pansexual or whatever he is. He's into everything, but he is not like a cisgendered male.
No.
But he's admired by all these kind of like fanboys who are like, yeah, we only male like superheroes and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but this guy, he's clearly very like open about his sexuality and how he expresses that.
Yeah, right. And it is both like what they've managed to do, I think, very well is combine politically incorrect humor with reasonably politically correct views, if you
Yes.
know what I mean. Like, you know, so that
It's inclusive,
yeah,
while also
being like shocking
making fun
and
of,
like like which is that's the argument to the you can't say anything anymore. Like, it's finding that space where you're like, oh no, all the kind of underlying messages of this are all good, solid, like, you know,
Yeah.
good
inclusivity,
yeah,
acceptance.
there might be a joke or two where you're like, oh, that's a lot, but there's never that sort of sense of, oh, am I a bad person for laughing at this?
yeah.
And yeah, I think that's hard to achieve.
Well, he's not making fun of the fact that Deadpool is pansexual.
No.
Like, it's just part of who he
no,
is.
it's more like that he likes to fuck.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
But even like when like Hugh Jackman takes his shirt off and there's like long lingering shots and you see, and it's like, that's not a gay joke.
No.
Like, that's just like genuine to the character.
He's like, yeah, I would like to have sex with him right now. This is what I'm doing. I'm objectifying him.
I wonder though, like for Hugh Jackman to get into that kind of shape, right? And just say they do make a sequel to this, which they probably will because it's made $1 billion.
Yes.
I mean, that's hard work at, what is he, 55 or something?
Yeah.
He'd be about mid-50s to get into that kind of shape. Like, surely at some point, don't you just ask for a padded suit? Like, I think of Anthony Starr in The Boys, right? And he's amazing.
But also,
But that's a padded suit.
yes, but also don't they have the side by sides on what he looked like as Wolverine
20 years
originally
ago and what it looks like
versus
now.
and he's much more jacked now than he was back then. I mean, I know that what we expect these people to look like is so unrealistic. But yeah, I'm a bit like you, where I'm like, maybe that's what we can use AI for.
Yeah,
Like,
totally. Why not?
Let's not replicate. You know what? Just from his nipples to his, like, you know, belly button, we'll
Yeah.
just AI that in. Hugh, keep the rest of you in kind of like decent enough shape, but you don't need to have the 8-pack.
Well, I remember when Nicolas Cage did adaptation, you know, where he was playing like fictionalized Charlie Kaufman, and one was overweight, or they're both overweight, and he wore a padded suit. And there was this kind of like, oh, that's cheating. And he's like, oh, come on, dude. It's like, I got super ripped for Con Air. I put on a lot of weight for leaving Las Vegas. It's not great
This is
for
hard.
my body. I can do
Yeah.
my job a bit better if I don't have to spend like 6 months, like, you know, putting my health in danger. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, and then they were like, "You ate a cockroach on film.
Yeah.
Don't you lecture us?"
I remember hearing, was it Eric Bana? Yeah, Eric Bana talking about Chopper, and it was like, because they shot this when he was thin. They shot that first, and then they gave him like a month to get into the heavier.
I mean, that is
version.
the better way to do it.
Yeah.
right?
Well, when you got a schedule.
So tough for the schedule the other way around.
But I doubt they would have had like a Hollywood. I mean, it's an Australian film. Wouldn't have had a Hollywood budget to pay a trainer or a nutritionist. He would have been just doing this all himself.
Yeah.
I was on Howie's podcast, and he just talked about how he stayed sedentary for a month, and it was just about calories and not moving. So, like, rather than walk, he would drive everywhere. But the amount of strain it put on his body to then get rid of it was really
Horrible.
really hard and horrible. And if it wasn't for a Hollywood studio paying him to get in shape for Black Hawk Down or whatever his next film was, or The Hulk, he probably wouldn't have been able to do it. And then you think of like Christian Bale when he was doing, remember that was his thing?
The Machinist.
And then to Batman, and then to that Hollywood Hustle film or whatever it was called. And his just body's going up and down. Like, it's all right, mate.
Seems great that we're doing this to people for our entertainment.
I think Christian Bale is, I imagine.
He was a bit more
loves it.
like, yeah.
Oh, man, Christian Bale, mate. I love putting on weight. Is that what his accent is? It's like him and Gary Oldman. I don't actually know what their real accent is because they're so good. They're such chameleons. I'm Christian Bale, mate. Oi, I'm tear your fucking lights. No, that's his American version.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. But I think he's Cockney, right?
Oh, good for you. That's how I imagine he talks all the time.
Oh, good for you.
Christian
Bale, mate. I'm Christian Bale.
Hello. I'll have a latte.
Hey, I know we don't normally take requests on this show, but it's something really like this. Iona never, like, she's aware that I do a podcast.
Yeah.
With
Does she
you.
know what a podcast is?
Yes, because I've got a bunch of podcasts I've recorded with her. Iona, I call them Iona FOPs. We've got like 8 or 9 where we sit down and we talk about stuff. She loves
What
it.
sort of stuff do you talk about?
We haven't done one in a while, but the last one was just after Christmas. We talked about Santa Claus and we talked about Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
She likes it when I hit the buttons on the soundboard, so the media board, so she can hear funny sounds. But she knows that we do like a comedy podcast, and this is apropos of nothing. We were just driving, and she was saying, I don't know how we were talking about TOFOP, but she was like, "Have you told Will my joke?" And so I stopped, and I've just recorded. This is from Iona.
Dad, why didn't you tell Will any of my jokes that I told you to?
What jokes do you have for me to tell Will?
Well, I could tell you one of them now.
Yeah, go on.
Why did the monkey climb on the roof?
Why did the monkey climb on the roof? I don't know.
Because it was going bananas.
That's pretty good. I'll pass it on to Will. She has reminded me every day since she told me that joke. And I don't think she got that from a book. I think she actually invented that in her head to tell you that joke.
It's a good joke.
You like it?
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty good.
it's a good joke.
There's a link to it. There's a logic to it. It's an absurd situation. There's a monkey on the roof. Doesn't often happen.
I
Oh, you're going to critique it? You're going to critique my 4-year-old?
Well, look. So I like the joke.
Okay.
Monkey, bananas. I mean, monkeys don't actually traditionally like bananas as much as we think they do, but it's a good.
It's a trope that people understand.
Yeah, and I don't think it's problematic to associate monkeys and bananas. So I'm not going to cancel her.
Okay.
That's a good first start. Is she's not going to be cancelled for this joke, but. Sometimes the use of the word monkey can be problematic for people in the comedy world.
Of
so
course.
I was, a little alarmed early on what sort of material she was rolling out. On the roof, that's fun. Monkey on the roof, gone bananas.
Yeah.
Is gone bananas problematic in a kind of modern context
mental
through
health.
mental health and like ableist language? Like I feel like maybe gone bananas is. I know it would be on the very soft end of. I think people would be overly. Critical to be like, I mean, she's a kid. She doesn't understand the broader,
Implications
societal
of that.
implications of. How is it gone bananas? That's the bit that I'm having a trouble with. So, like, is it
Why was
going?
the monkey on the roof?
Does it
It's
have
gone
a banana?
bananas.
Has it gone? But like, I get monkeys and bananas
Okay.
are linked.
Well, here's where
But-
I think it came from. So when we drive, where she has her swimming lessons is at in the hinterland. So it's the guy who does the swim lessons who's got his own pool. It's a beautiful property. And so you've got to drive up this long drive to get to the pool. And back when Iona was a bit more scared about going to swimming lessons, I would, you play games with your kid to sort of distract them on the way to the thing. And so I would always say to her, hey, we're getting to Ben's property now. Can you see any monkeys in the trees? Are the monkeys throwing bananas at the car? And she would be looking out the window, trying to find the monkeys going bananas. So I think that is the origin
would
of
she
it.
think there were actually monkeys there?
No,
or
I think
is
she was
this a
quite
fun
aware. It's a fun
that-
game with
yeah,
Dad.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But somewhere along the line, she has realised that bananas is a simile
Monkey-related thing,
or
but
a
also
simile
for gone a
crazy. Yeah,
bit loco.
yeah.
Again, these are all crazy and loco. I think are probably also terms we should not be using. So I'm going to give her a pass. I like it though.
Okay.
I think it's like it doesn't probably survive in intense scrutiny.
Yeah.
But I think on first tell,
See,
like, that's-
all her other material,
Yeah.
because
Is
she's
absurdist.
well, non sequitur
yeah.
type stuff. It's like a real head scratcher where it's
So if it'd be like, why is the monkey on the roof? Because bread is toast.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'll tell her that one. She'll like that. Like I think there was a similar one. She's like, why was the elephant tap dancing? And it was because poo.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Because boo.
Which is pretty good. I mean, I've been trying to explain to her the structure of a joke, but are you willing to hear more jokes from Iona?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to test that out. It could be a ongoing segment.
Yeah, well, I mean, if she's keen to share them, which
Yeah.
she seems to be.
Oh, no, she's very
She's like,
keen.
get him to Will. He's the comedy expert.
Yeah, I know. I was like, by the way, it's a partnership, this podcast.
Yeah, but Will's a
We're both on the
professional
show.
comedian, you know?
Well, it's time for everyone's favourite segment. Hang on, should I hit the sting? Last 2 weeks. Oh, God. It's autoplay.
I do enjoy that.
Stop it.
That's actually my favourite bit of the theme is when it goes into autoplay.
Last couple of weeks, we went to Aldi's.
Yeah.
But we're going. There was a request that we don't just go so obscure and so niche with our Crack That Pack
Yes.
reviews. And so I've gone a bit more mainstream.
Mainstream.
This is just your average supermarket Coles
Yep.
purchases.
No, I think this is a good idea. We need to, sometimes you just got to like have a little taste of the biscuits of the people, you know?
This is a personal favourite of mine.
Okay, interesting.
This is a McVitie's
Oh my God.
hobnob, which
I
is
mean,
kind
this
of
is-
a variation on the digestive. So it's like a shredded oat biscuit with a chocolate covering.
McVitie's hobnobs.
McVitie's hobnobs.
I'm not even sure I've ever heard of McVitie's hobnobs.
Yeah.
How long have these been around for?
Oh, a while. McVitie's make digestives, I believe.
It feels very digestive. Hobnobs. How do we feel about hobnobs?
What's the origin of hobnob?
I
Do you know?
don't know.
Hobnob. To hobnob about means to kind of socialize, right?
Does it?
Yeah, he's been hobnobbing. Where's Will?
I don't really use the
out.
term hobnobbing. I don't think I've ever referred to anyone or anything as being hobnobbing.
Is there a K in hobnob? No.
No, it's HOBNOB. Hobnob.
Hobnob meaning.
Yeah.
To mix socially, especially with those of a perceived higher social status.
Oh, okay.
So these are
La-di-da.
fancy.
When you're hobnobbing.
When you're
Oh, yeah,
hobnobbing.
okay,
Oh, that makes
does make-
sense. Yeah.
That does sound better. All right, so very
So while you're
good.
opening, I'm going to actually just
Okay.
Google
Yeah,
McVitie's
please do.
hobnob to find out.
Tell me about what's going on.
Okay,
in
McVitie's hobnobs.
Yeah.
Bit of background on these. Okay, so McVitie's is a UK biscuit brand.
All right.
It's the third most popular biscuit in the UK. They are made from rolled oats, are similar to the flat pack digestive biscuit hybrid. Okay, so digestive biscuit is what would you call it, like a genre?
A
of biscuit.
term, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a category.
Yeah, category. And are among the most popular and Irish biscuits. Maybe that's why I like them, because of the Irish side of my family.
Okay, so it's very digestive on one side. It is a coat of chocolate on the other side. It is thin.
Yeah. So it started off just a plain oat biscuit, and then in 87, in 85 was just the oat biscuit, and then in 87 they introduced a milk chocolate variant. Okay. Manufactured in Glasgow, which is why, because Gemma loves these biscuits. They're her
Okay.
favourite as well, so that probably explains that. Available in Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Not in the US, Canada as well. So it's a Commonwealth biscuit, you could argue.
Okay.
All right. So was having a bit of a sniff.
Okay, I'm gonna.
I think this one might be a variation because it says oat snap. So I think it might be a combination of like a butternut snap with, so like almost Anzac-esque with a chocolate topping. Because I'm just looking at the website and there are a huge variety of hobnobs. He's still chewing, so I'm going to keep you away from the microphone because I know how much that irritates people. Just keep chewing. Have a glass of water before you come back to the mic. I love, like I could eat these without chocolate. I like the dark chocolate. I think the milk chocolate for me is it's like a indulgence, I will say. Okay, you've had yours.
There's
Give me your
nothing
thoughts.
indulgent about these biscuits. They are educational. They feel like educational biscuits. They feel like something that everyone would approve. Like this is even people who don't eat biscuits or think biscuits are too much of a treat would be like, okay, you can have a chocolate digestive biscuit.
So you think this is the safe option for a parent who's wanting to give a treat, but not too much of a treat?
Yeah.
You don't like
It's a
it?
treat that also feels slightly like a punishment.
Oh, no way.
I mean, it makes me feel like we're camping. If we were camping and these were the biscuits that were provided for camping, you'd be like, oh, this is nice. I've been walking for half a day. It's cold and wet and rainy. We're having Billy tea and a digestive biscuit. What a lovely treat.
I disagree.
But
this is the kind of biscuit where if I eat one, I'm probably going to eat the whole pack. I love them. I love their, with a cup of tea. It's a perfect cup of tea biscuit. I love the texture. I love the crunch. I love how
texture feels like something that
I love the
you're
grittiness.
prescribed to take to help
to
with
clean your
bowel
bowels.
movements. that's
I
what
like that. I like a biscuit that helps me shit. I believe that's their tagline.
That is honestly what it feels like, though. It feels like a medicinally approved shitting biscuit.
It does. Yeah, you're right. This is the kind of biscuit that you're staying at your grandma's.
Yeah.
And she's made you a little treat, and she brings you. You're watching cartoons, and she brings you a little plate with a couple of digestives on it.
Yeah.
And they've probably been in the jar a little too long. She hasn't eaten them.
No.
She got them for when the kids come over.
Yeah.
And so they're a little bit stale, and you're like, oh fuck,
Right.
fuck you, grandma, and you're under your breath. But she hears you, and she's like, "What did you say?" And you said nothing, and she's like, "William James Anderson. I've never heard such language." And you're like, all right, calm the fuck down. Oh, sorry, grandma. She's like, she takes off her slipper and she throws it at you. And she's like, I'm calling your father. And then you get all fucking up and you're like, all right, then call him. I don't care. And then you run out of the house and you go into the paddock and you sit behind a tree and you start like fantasizing about fucking grandma talking to me like this. Fucking kick you, grandma. Right in the bum, grandma.
So I'm going to say C.
Oh, fuck off. Really?
C. Yeah.
No, it's an A for me. This is, if this was a football team, this is the kind of biscuit. It's not your star play, but this is the biscuit. This is your heart and soul biscuit. You build a team around this. Reliable, enough flair, gets 25 possessions a game, dishes it out to where it needs to go. The fancy biscuits can come along and do all that kind of flashy work, but you need this guy or girl to build your team around.
To pick out of your teeth for the next 3 hours.
Mate, it does the hard work. Contested ball beast, this biscuit. If you don't
Made
know.
of the inside of old mattresses and hay.
Is it just the texture you don't like?
I don't like the texture, no.
I mean, I get it. I do get it. I think it's obviously subjective, but I think you're being too harsh on a C. Don't you get the kind of Anzac quality?
Yeah, but it's inferior to the Anzac in every way.
The only Anzac quality you get is it's like a slaughter.
No, it's no,
This is the Gallipoli of biscuits.
I don't think that this holds a candle to the. This is fine. Like I
Okay.
said, a C. A C is a absolutely reasonable mark.
Serviceable
Yeah,
biscuit.
but that's all it is to me.
Okay. And look, maybe it is a childhood thing for me, but I have good.
Yeah, I have no memories of a digestive.
Yeah, I do have memories of a digestive because
Yeah.
my mum went through this phase
I
of.
love that novel, by the way, Memories of a Digestive.
Pulitzer winning. My mother went through a phase where I guess she was like a Weight Watchers phase where she was like,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
not
this
gonna-
feels like something you can eat while you're on Weight Watchers.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't even this. It was like
Nah,
a weight
their
work.
version of it.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
carob instead of
See, I reckon I'd almost enjoy this more with carob
Oh,
because it feels like something that's already in that
Gross.
zone. Yeah, like it feels like,
yeah. Why are you putting lipstick on a pig?
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like the chocolate's too fancy to be slumming it with this hay bale.
Yeah, I get that. But I just, you know what I like also is the biscuit is not really that sweet.
Yeah, I think the
Delivery system for the
flavour
chocolate.
I'm okay with.
Okay.
I do not like the fact that it's all still stuck in my teeth.
Well, just know when we finish recording, you're going to go home and do a really good shit. And I think that's something.
That doesn't help me. It makes me feel terrible.
It's moving through your lower intestine like a
yeah.
giant
Brush.
chocolatey
Just
broom.
a broom just
I wanted to, while we're on the subject of Crack That Pack, a lot of recommendations. But you'll remember last month, well, you'll remember because you were there, you went to the cookie factory.
I did.
So you inspired one of our listeners.
Okay.
Janica, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Janica or Janica. I love the new Bicky segment. I've been a listener for more than 10 years, but I had to write in. I listened to the One Big Bean episode, and as Friday is my normal shopping day at South Melbourne Market, I was inspired to visit my cookie factory. I told the lovely Natasha and Juan how much Charlie loved the oat and raisin cookie. They hadn't heard of TOFOP.
No.
I mean, really. But they had listened to the Junkies, which is Kitty and
Okay.
Dave.
Oh, that's, adjacent.
Adjacent. Oh, well, anyway, I said how much you love their cookies. That's fantastic, they said. We'll give you a cookie. No, I said, actually, you should give Will and Charlie a cookie because they're the ones promoting your store, I insisted. Anyway, Natasha slipped a lemon meringue cookie into my bag. I left, but quickly realized I couldn't go home and tell this story to my wife and only have one cookie. So I went back and told them the reason I was back. I said I would buy a cookie for my wife. I chose oat and raisin because Charlie loved it so much, and a matcha cookie because it's her favorite flavor. Natasha insisted I couldn't get a free cookie, and my wife paid for one, so I got 2 free cookies and only paid for one. It seems particularly TOFOP that you two do the unpaid promotion and I get the free cookies.
Yeah, too. And this other business is like giving away free cookies as well. We've taken them down our business model.
I can't fucking believe it. I mean, that's great. I'm very happy for you, Janica. Janica. I'm happy for you and anyone who benefits from this segment. Like for those of you naysayers out there, just know that at least some people are getting free biscuits from this.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're doing anything, right?
That's something.
We're bringing what's better than nothing.
Also, we've eaten a lot of biscuits, and I feel like that's been a win.
Definitely. And you know what? You've given me, this segment has actually re-inspired my interest in biscuits. So now,
I'm going to make some biscuits.
well, when I go to the bakery, I'm looking, so I tried one at my local bakery. I want to bring some of my local bakery ones in because they do like red velvet, white chocolate things. But they had one which is a buckwheat dark chocolate cookie, which I was like,
Oh, yeah.
it looks like shit. Like it does not look appealing at all. Doesn't look fancy. Just looks like a real flat, ugly thing. But dude, it's delicious. It's so good. And it vaguely, not that it tastes like this, but you get this sense that you're doing something good for yourself.
All right.
Because it's
Interesting.
buckwheat. I mean, maybe I'm just getting, the marketing's got me. But just because like, it's dark chocolate, so it's not milk chocolate. And because it's buckwheat, I'm like, buckwheat's healthier than regular wheat. I don't even know what buckwheat is.
I've just like, I've re-emerged into my love of biscuits. I'm in my biscuit era.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a real cake. I had like 3-4 years, like real solid cake years in the last few years, but I feel like I'm in my biscuit period.
I can't remember if we read this out last time, but someone said the name of the segment, which I'm cursing myself, shouldn't be Crack That Pack. It should be Simp Biscuit.
Oh, but we didn't say that it was called Crack That Pack.
We have a jingle.
Yeah, but like we were saying it was time to crack the pack. But that's kind of the thing you do.
Yeah,
Like
for
this-
our segment,
Simp Biscuit. So the segment can be called Simp Biscuit, and then when it's time to crack the pack, you play the jingle to crack the pack.
Now, look, we ask a lot
Because not all of them have packs.
we don't ask, I was going to say we ask a lot, but we don't ask a lot of our listeners. But, you know, we've got people who send in jingles from time to time. if someone wants to do
Something in
Simp
the
Biscuit
in the form of Limp Bizkit.
sting, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Like heavy guitars, record scratching, and that Fred Durst delivery, Simp Biscuit.
You just use that.
Just use that. I'll give you. All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Let this claim, Mike. I'll give him 3 versions. Simp Biscuit, Simp Biscuit, Simp Biscuit, Simp Biscuit. So
I mean, that was definitely 4, not 3. But apart from that, I loved it.
Adam Spencer's just tearing his hair. Oh, sorry, Adam. Oh, boo. Hey, last week we had someone write in recommending cooker biscuits. Kookaburra, not Quilon cooker.
Yeah.
Second
The secret
email
ingredient is conspiracy.
is ivermectin, as we stated. Kylie, another listener, has come in saying, guys, I'm writing in regard to very important business of biscuits. Hands down, the best biscuits of all time are the cookers, lemon and chocolate. So I think last week it was raspberry shortbread. 2 delicious buttery shortbread biscuits, 1 dipped in chocolate, surrounded just enough tart lemon jam. I'm not sure.
That sounds like to my taste.
Okay, not to mine. I don't think. I don't like lemon. I don't like citrusy flavors.
I like lemon.
I'm not sure how you get your hands on a pack though. I get mine from the local NQR, and I've never seen them anywhere else. Oh, that's just a challenge.
They're an NQR brand.
I have just Googled and found that you can buy them direct from cookers. You could buy them in 12 packs.
Oh.
I'm not sure I want 12.
No, that seems like too many.
Anyway, that's my contribution, Kylie.
Okay.
Thank you, Kylie. Look, it's just like Aldi was like top of the list. It feels like cookers were getting pushed in a cooker direction. So maybe that's
Good for the podcast to finally go in a cooker direction.
Yeah, imagine the numbers we'll get if we lean into Charlie and Will are a couple of cookers.
TOFOP.
All right, that is TOFOP this week. Adam and Will on tour.
Yes,
coming
on tour.
up.
Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Wollongong, Newcastle. Tickets selling very fast.
And if you want to support the show, best way to do that is still Patreon. Thank you, everyone who signed up recently. If you want to see us, we're doing TOFOP
Live
Lives.
shows.
October, November, December. Click the episode description to get some info. No, hang on. Wait. Click the link in the episode description to get tickets or go to our website. All the info's there. But that is TOFOP for this week. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson.
We're going to go shit.
Simp Biscuit, 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 Biscuit. What? Simp Biscuit, Biscuit.
Very good, Mike. Thank you.